All right, thank you very much, Paulo. And at this point in time, I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate our integration with Plastic SCM. Let me share my screen. So for those of you who aren't familiar with Polarion, this is Polarion. As I mentioned, it is a fully web-based UI. And one of the things that sort of makes Polarion not really unique, it's a pretty common feature, but it's this idea of work items. So every single thing that you want to track in Polarion, whether it's a task, a requirement, or defect, is in the shape of these work items. So we see here we have EL89, extend the query panel to allow queries based on advanced fields. And this is some task. It has an assignee, has a priority, it has an estimate. And one thing you'll notice is that these numbers here under the ID column, these are automatically assigned unique IDs to work items in Polarion. And so this one is EL89. It can't be changed, but it is sort of that primary key for the work item. So this is what we're going to be using actually in our connection with Plastic SCM. So what you'll see come down here, there is a special field down here called linked revisions. Now, linked revisions is the field that stores the information that we use to link to any of the source control system. And I've set up a connection here with the Plastic SCM server that's running on my machine, which allows me to go through and actually browse all of the change sets that have happened in Plastic SCM. So you see here, I only have 3 change sets in mine. But I can go through here and I can select one of these to link to my task. So if I have a change set that I've already gotten and I've already committed, I can go ahead and click on the number 2 here, save this in Polarion, and you'll see that I now have under linked revisions a change set that has the message. In this case, this was just a practice message. But it also has a link here to the Plastic SCM web UI. And so this will allow me to go ahead and click on that. And it will give you the full Plastic SCM web UI directly from here. Again, my apologies, this is running on my personal computer, so it's not quite as quick as it otherwise would be. I'm not sure why my Plastic SCM server is not loading properly. We'll come back to this, but it does link directly to the Plastic. There we go. So the Plastic SCM web UI allows me to see the items that I've changed and get any of the other features of the web UI here. But there is a much easier way to make the links, the connections, because one of the things that we understand is that for a developer having to make this change, having to commit it, and having to come back into Polarion to connect the linked revisions in this way is just a pain. It's too many clicks, it takes too long. So the more useful way of connecting a change set or a commit from Plastic SCM to Polarion is just through the commit message itself. So I have a task here, EL90 implements something, and let's say I've gone into Plastic SCM and I have a couple pieces of couple text files in here that are part of my change set. So I'm going to go ahead and make some changes, implemented something. I'm going to go ahead and add a comment to our wiki code here. This session will add additional feature to spec. So I'll save both of these, and I'll go into Plastic SCM, right, and I will refresh. I'll choose my items, and I will add some comment into my check-in comments. And so I'll say, check-in code complete task. And at this point, I'll just go ahead and put my task ID in here. And it can be anywhere within this commit message. It can be in the front, it can be in the back, it can be part of a a normal English sentence. Let me just make sure I have EL90. Yep. As long as I have this task ID in here, when I do check in my code, what we'll see is if I come back to Polarion and I refresh my browser, I have that change that I just made with the message here reflected in Polarion. Right? So it's not, the developer doesn't have to step away from his IDE to do anything if he has an integrated with Eclipse or he has an integrated Visual Studio. As long as he has his task list somewhere next to him on a sticky note or on a browser on another monitor, as long as he knows that ID and puts it in his commit message, I finished this task, it will automatically connect to the system in Polarion. Now, that's really how we do the connection. The benefit of having this connection, though, not only can you click on the item and have it directly open up in the web browser with all the information that you want, right? So we have, sorry, I have some errors there with sort of my personal configuration here, but not only do I have that, but it does provide very good traceability all the way from the top level down to my changes. One thing we'll see here is I go to a user story, and in Polarion we have a traceability function called tree view. Basically allows you to see all of the traceability from the highest level items down to the bottom. Right? So here we see we have user stories, and each of these user stories has some tasks or defects that are assigned to them or implementing those user stories. But what I can do here is if I go ahead and include commits, this allows me to see not only the work items in Polarion, but actually allows me to see the commits that I've made that are linked to those items. So we see EO137 here. Not only does it have a task, but that task has some checked-in code down below. And I can go ahead and click on it. And you can see I can even open up the Plastic SCM web UI in Polarion to take a look at what exactly were those changes that I made as part of that commit. And it provides very useful information for impact analysis. If I know I want to change EO137, this user story needs to be changed, or I need to submit a change request for this, I know what code I've already checked in that it will affect. Similarly, it allows me to make sure that all my processes are being followed. All right, I have a couple tasks here that are checked in and have been completed. You can see struck out here, but that don't have any code checked in. So if I know one of my processes or one of my sort of guidelines that I must have checked in code in order to complete a task, I can easily take a look at this and see, okay, I don't have all my steps done before I close this task. This really needs to be reopened and reassigned to the user that it was assigned to. Right? So it provides me that very good overview look of everything from the highest level all the way onto every single code change that is made in the SCM tool. Okay. So at this point, that concludes the demonstration portion.